Ashish, thank you so much for joining me here today to have a chat at GRIF at FHS.
Thank you.
Now, you are founder and CEO of Restroworks. You have founded this company based on your own experiences. Is that correct? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, 13 years back in India, I was running a telecom company. And then one day I said, hey, it'll be cool to open a restaurant. And, and we hired a consultant. They did, the entire turnkey for us. We were just investors to start with, but this was a project, built with passion and not really, with a very clear financial returns sort of thinking.
Right.
So we just fell into it. And, in 2 months, our restaurant was ready. Mm-hmm. And that's where hell broke loose. So that's where we started realizing how tough this business was. Mm-hmm. And given that I was always running a technology company, as a primary business, I ended up building tech for our own restaurant to solve that problem.
Right.
And here we are.
Fabulous. So that kind of foundation, as coming at it from a problem-solving perspective, how do you think that has impacted the culture and the approach of your company?
Jennifer, great question. I think what I've seen is that technologists who are building any kind of tech for traditional businesses, mm-hmm. they have never been that business themselves.
Right.
Right. So, when they observe a business and they want to digitize their operations, mm-hmm. they observe as an outsider and they digitize the good parts as well as the bad parts because they don't have the eligibility to question any part of the operation. Because we were insiders, because we were restaurateurs, we could clearly cut through, the wrong parts of the operation. Mm-hmm. And when we started building this product was not only addressing the problems that we were facing, it was also taking out all the, ridiculous or superstitious operations, right? I call them superstitious operations where...
You need to unpack that a bit. Tell me about the superstitious operations.
So what is a superstition, right? Somebody in, long back mm-hmm. decided to do a certain thing a certain way.
Right.
Because there were circumstances, need of the hour, resources, etc. And that became a tradition. Now, okay. Generations forward, people are continuously doing the same thing, but the reasons have changed, circumstances have changed, and nobody's questioning them. So I call them superstitions, mm-hmm. when, when you question somebody, hey, why do you do it this way? Mm-hmm. Instead of giving you a logic, they basically tell you, oh, we do it like this here, right? That's superstition. So a lot of superstitious way of running restaurants mm-hmm. was apparent to us because we were not from the restaurant industry. We were new to it. We could question things on its head. We could just question things on basics. So I think the edge that it gave us as technology people, mm-hmm. where we are not trying to sell technology today, when we go to our prospects, when we go to our customers, we're exactly giving them solutions because we know how it feels on the floor. And it shaped our culture in a beautiful way because an average engineer, a software developer in our company at Restroworks can actually speak to a restaurant operator as eloquently about their operations as, the operator will.
Amazing. So tell me about some of the problems that your software is solving.
So one of the key problems today in the restaurant space is, bottom line efficiency, which is your restaurant industry up until 5 or 6 years back also used to enjoy great gross margins, 65 to 85% gross margins. Restaurant business used to net 35 to 25%. Today, there are aggregators, marketplaces, delivery operators. Digital spends have gone really, really up. Margins have fallen down to somewhere around 40, 45% gross, and restaurants are netting somewhere between 15 to 5%. That means the error of margin is so thin mm-hmm. that you are on the negative EBITDA of your own business. So one of the problems that we are solving is back of the house operations, inventory control. But in that, we are not talking about the usual stuff. We are also taking into account pilferages. We are talking about thefts. We are also talking about, let's say, yield management from a vendor. When you buy chicken from vendor 1 and versus vendor 2, which chicken gives you the more yield? And there you can actually understand a deeper quality of raw material as well as operators in between. Are they doing some sort of mischief? And unfortunately, one of the dark, deep, but ever-known secrets of restaurant and hospitality world is that there is a lot of pilferage. And there's pilferage at a lot of steps. That is one. Second is that we are bringing together integrations which are the bloodline of the business today. So you, for example, in Saudi Arabia, you have Jahez, you have Hunger Station, you have Mersul, you have Kareem, you have so many aggregators that they're taking orders for you. And then on top of it, a restaurant wants a kiosk, they want a QR code ordering, they want their own mobile app, they want their website. All of these have to have a common experience for the customer. We drive all of it, because problem with ordering is when you go and order for a certain brand on their website, experience is different. When you go to Hunger Station, experience is different. What if we are able to merge these experiences? Then the order taking is, free flowing, and there is more incentive for your end customer to maybe look for other avenues which may be more profitable for you. So these are top two things that we are solving, but then it's a suite of 18 products that form a full operating system for the restaurants.
We kind of pick and choose what works for you.
You can pick and choose, but mostly, this covers everything within the living aspect of operations in a restaurant chain.
Fascinating. And let me ask you, because you have quite a good view on what's happening globally or in certain markets in the restaurant sector, what's your perspective on where it's at the moment?
Well, I think COVID leveled the world. Friedman was saying world is flat. World was not listening. I think COVID really made, the world as flat as possible. So post-COVID and during COVID, what has happened is that every restaurant in the world is going through the same problem. I think world got divided into clear lines. One is restaurants that are looking for convenience for their customers, QSRs, fast casual. And then there is an experience-based restaurants, which are fine dine, more proper. There used to be a full spectrum in between, back in the days. Today, that spectrum has actually, there's a big vacuum in the center because either you're a fine dine who does not deliver, or you're a fast casual or casual, but you also deliver. So people still want your food like quick and fast. So I think the broad theme is that either you go for speed or you go for experience.
So kind of this idea of food as a commodity and food as an experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's very little in between.
Absolutely.
But let me ask you, do you think that is an opportunity? Do you think that there's just not people doing it well, or the consumer behavior has shifted so significantly that those are the two markets that are really significant?
Absolutely. There's a great opportunity because, when there is no in-between, your customer is not confused. That means more customers are going to just choose binary. It's always good to be in a binary sort of state. Also, I think the opportunity is that customer now in a commoditized market, if they're eating your burger and this is not an experience or a gourmet burger, but it's just a burger. That means if you deliver fast, you'll win. You'll get away with not great burger, just decent burger, but delivered fast to your home.
That's so interesting because that's changing the whole model in a lot of ways. And you're seeing this globally or specifically as
we can see that globally. I think this is one of the effects of COVID that's sustained. That did not really, go away because it's not about the restaurant people anymore. It's about consumers. So how consumer wants to interact with your brand, business has to now respond to that.
Right.
It's not about the restaurant anymore that, this is how you will operate. Customer is telling you how to operate. You need to be present at the right spot or you're out.
Interesting. Now, let me ask you, seeing as we are here in Saudi and we're going to Dubai next in September, what are your plans for the Middle East?
Well, Middle East is, one of the largest opportunities in the world. I think the world is also recognizing that right now. And I think our plans in the region are quite excited about it. Our company is based in Dubai. We are in DIFC right now, but we are in the process of registering an entity in Saudi Arabia, which honestly, if you ask me 4 or 5 years back, that was not even a part of the, plan. And I think the way region is coming together, it's quite great. One of the things that, is great in Middle East as a region is its homogeneity. So when you go to Southeast Asia, you're talking to different countries. A Thailand is very different from a Philippines, is very different from Indonesia. But in Middle East, while there are 7 or 9 markets that you can, pick, they all are very homogeneous. They are always similar in nature, and that allows any business to actually prosper through the region. I'm personally extremely excited about that part, of the
It's interesting because a lot of people do say the markets are very different, but I guess it depends on your industry.
When I say similar, I mean culturally similar. Of course, every market has its own nuances, and 20, 30 degree out is okay, right? But when you go to countries, for example, Europe, right? So when you cross over from one country to other, it's a 180-degree out at times, right? So you don't want that. So
no.
I meant that.
And then let me ask you guys have recently made an exciting announcement. So changing your name from Posset to Restroworks. So what drove that change?
Oh, well, names stick. So we started 12 years back and we called ourselves Possessed. The word came out from POS, and like a dental specialist was called dentist, we made the POS specialist a Possessed.
Got it.
We enjoyed that brand for 10 years, but then eventually we realized that we outgrew our own brand. Our promise to the restaurant industry had grown a lot, and POS system was just one of the products. Now it's an 18-product suite. So we got an opportunity to rethink and say, hey, how can this pupa of POSes come out like a butterfly in some other, other color? And Restroworks is our, renewal of commitment to the restaurant industry. As a company, we are committed for next decade and beyond, only for the restaurant space. But within the realm of F&B management, we basically take care of much larger portfolio now. And that's what hopefully Restroworks should, exemplify to the prospects and the customers.
Now, let me ask you, you having been an entrepreneur in the restaurant space yourself, there's lots of young Saudis who are now going into the F&B space. What would your advice to them be?
Well, I jokingly tell people that restaurant is one of the most misunderstood businesses because it's almost like a honey trap. Everybody believes that they want to have a restaurant, and they also believe that it's cool to have a restaurant. I generally tell people that if you're trying to do a restaurant as a side business, as a side gig, that's going to be a disaster. Or I generally tell people that if you want to take revenge on someone, just help them open a restaurant as a side business, leave them alone, they'll be decimated. It's one of the toughest businesses, requires 24/7 on your toes. It's real 24/7 on your toes. A restaurant has so many moving parts, 365 days a year, 24/7. Each part has to fall in place every time. Every new meal ordered by a customer is actually a new meal. It's a new day. It's a new hour. So I think to young Saudis and people in the region, I would say it's a great industry to be in, but you should test the waters to understand who are you. Are you really cut out for that? Is that something that you see you want to do for next 30, 40 years of your life? Yes, great. Don't do it as a side business. Don't do it as a side gig. It is not a good to have.
It's not a side hustle.
It's absolutely not a side hustle. It is anything but a side hustle. I think it's a main hustle that can kill all your side hustles if done well.
Thank you so much, Ashish.
Thank you, Jennifer.